Yo, what's up guys? Today I am making a tier list. It is 6:14 a.m. I stayed up a little bit too long, so it's gonna be a quickie. Um Basically I've been thinking about where all the weapons belong, and I know to start off everything, I'm gonna say sword is definitely S tier. I think it might really be the best weapon in the entire game. Sure, there might be some other weapons that may come close to it, but we'll talk about that later. But for the reasons that sword is really good is every single move on sword is super duper good. Downlight is good. Downlight is good for like a super easy kill in red. You should never lose a red neutral game. Let's say you're both red. Sword should always win the exchange, right? You should get free downlights, end lights. Side light is really big. It's easy to hit. Recovery is super broken. Ground pound does way too much damage. Down air comes out too fast. Nair comes out too fast. Side air really good for edge guarding. So an end light is just like a whole block that comes out in front of you. So it's a really well-rounded weapon. That's why I think it belongs in S tier 100%. If anyone else tells you it's not an S tier, they're 100% lying to you. So next weapon is axe. Axe I think is also S tier. It is really good. It does a lot of damage. Side light is really big. Nair is really big. Downlight's really big. End light's really big. It's basically kind of like sword, but it's really good as well. So also recovery and ground pound are both really big. So you see the pattern already. Axe just really big and lots of damage. Sword really quick, and it has a 3-hit kill combo at the end. I forgot to mention that before. Um, let's do blasters. So there's a lot of mixed opinions on blasters. Well, not really. Everyone basically says they're really bad, but I don't really think they're terrible. But of course, they're not the best. So I'm gonna put them in C tier for now. I guess they kill really late. Side air kills at like 220. It's like really dark red. Um, I think it's I think you could play around the down air and stuff. The down air and nair is like super duper good on blasters, and I mean downlight's really good, side light's really good. So you could play it like Cody Travis plays it, but there's better weapons to play in this meta, and um if they made end light a little bit faster on blasters, it would be better, but that's not the case. So next weapon is bow. Bow did take some nerfs with the recent patch, so it used to be an S tier, but now it will still be an A tier. It's still a super well-rounded weapon. Not very many things wrong with it, if any at all. Recovery is still big. It's super easy to hit. End light comes out really quickly. Neutral light comes out really quickly. Of course, it's not the same pace that it came out last patch, because last patch it was absolutely bonkers. But this patch it's a little bit better. You know, it's like a real weapon now, and they should do the same to sword. If they did the same thing to sword on all its moves, it would be A tier still, because it's just a well-rounded weapon. Know what I mean? Also the downlight is good for like when they're it's to catch landings and when they're far. Side light is pretty good in neutral. Like whenever I play bow, I think side light's really good, and down air is super good off stage. So is side air off stage, and its ground pound is it hits in some ridiculous places. Oh, I forgot to mention that on blasters too. It hits in some ground pound. I think it's like it does a lot of damage, and it has a pretty janky hitbox. So next is cannon. You guys know this. I think cannon's probably like the worst weapon in the game. It just loses to sword, it loses to spear, it loses to a bunch of weapons. I don't think, sure, people can play with it, but this is my opinion, and my opinion revolves around how I play the weapon. Well, for cannon, basically these are unbiased, and for cannon, you guys saw Boomy perform with it in Parsec, but I don't know how he did it. I guess it's Onyx Sigs or something, or Onyx defense, or maybe Boomy's just a god, but I really do not see cannon as competing with any of these weapons. Its neutral is too bad, and it only revolves around getting a dodge, and its dodges are pretty hard to get. So unless you're like Sandstorm, but I really just do not like how cannon is designed and how it is in neutral. Maybe if they buffed sidelight and made it a little bit bigger, it'd be better. But even with all of its strong moves, I know how strong all of its moves are, but even with all the strong moves, I do not think it's that good. Also, keep in mind this is a 1v1 tier list, not a 2v2 tier list, so none of these apply for 2v2. Gauntlets. Gauntlets are the second best weapon. I still think sword is the best. Everyone knows the issues with gauntlets. Gauntlets three piece hit combo, down light nair, down air. It does not do that much damage, but just being in a combo for that long tilts your opponent, and it's really good. And also nair stun is really crazy. You could get a lot of true combos, like a lot of true combos, and with a single dodge, you could take your opponent from like white to like dark or light orange. Like, Gauntlet's just a crazy weapon. On top of its recovery coming out super quickly, its ground pound is super steerable. Its side air is like a signature in a light attack, and it sends your opponent off stage. Its downlight got nerfed in the recent patch, but it's still usable. I like to use it. And its neutral light just sucks people in. And I already mentioned the side air, but I need to mention side air again because of how crazy it is. Like, if I have to mention a move twice, then you guys know already. It's a crazy move. Next, I'm gonna put guitars. Guitars are definitely A tier. They are probably above bow. Sidelight on guitars with dash impulse, meaning when you dash it, it gives you like extra. It's really quick basically. Sidelight is really quick when you dash it. Into end light, it's like super free neutral moves. Nair is super good. Side air is super good. Down air, not a lot of people use down air, but I feel like down air is like a train that's unstoppable when you do it, like off stage. It's like unarmed down air kind of, which is pretty good. And most guitar legends have pretty good sigs, so I guess I'm just gonna put him over here. And it's new. Guitar neutral is almost as good as sword neutral, if not better. Probably not better, but somewhere around there. And its neutral is really good. Downlight's really good for anti-air. Sometimes you could even get a lucky read, like a lucky dodge you could catch, and you'll get so much damage with the loop, the guitar loop. Yeah. So next, let's do hammer. Hammer is okay in 1v1, but it's definitely somewhere up here because you still have that downlight side air, downlight. Gravity cancel, downlight, neutral air, downlight, down air. You still have that down air in neutral that you could just jump down air for kills in red. You still have that nair. You still have that recovery off stage. You still have that ground pound off stage. It's still a really good weapon. Even with like 2 patches, nothing has changed. I don't see any difference in the weapon. It's still a really good weapon, and sidelight is really good. So that's my reason for putting it up there. Next is Lance. Since this is the 1v1 tier list, it'd have to go in like C tier somewhere. Maybe even B tier. I'm gonna move. Okay, I'm gonna put it here because Lance, yeah, sure, they're all in the same tier, but I don't want to put Lance above here because you guys would think, oh, these weapons must be terrible. No, these weapons are in the same tier as these. Lance, nair is pretty good, neutral is pretty good, down air is really good. Recovery, dude, whenever I play that weapon, recovery hits in some weird places. The nair nerfs on Lance did hit pretty hard, which is pretty good because nair used to be like unplayable. Neutral light does a lot of damage, down light does a lot of damage, so, and side light is kind of easy to hit. Not easy, but you know, it's not impossible to hit side light, which is why it's pretty good. And the reason that Lance is so low is because it's kind of hard to find a kill on Lance because nothing off of side light is true except for nair. So I guess if you go for side light, nair or something like that. But other than that, if it had like side light recovery, it would easily be A tier, A or S tier. So yeah. Okay, next weapon is Orb. Orb, it got hit pretty hard with the nerfs, but it's still a good weapon. Like, this patch, Sword is just a better version of Orb. Other patches, Orb is better version of Sword. Like, Orb and Sword go hand in hand, so they cannot be very far from the tier list on each other. From each other on the tier list, sorry for mixing that up. Orb still has that neutral light that's pretty good. Downlight's pretty good, neutral air is pretty good, side is pretty good, recovery is pretty good, down air is pretty good, and by pretty good I mean really good. and you know, it's pretty easy to play neutral with the weapon. Any weapon with a free neutral is up there. All the weapons with bad neutral, other than gauntlets, is below, like lower on the tier list. Next is scythe. I don't really see all the hype around scythe, but I could really understand where they're coming from. Some people put in some people put in A, but I'm gonna go with A, probably around here. You easily just take your opponents off stage, and if you're a good scythe player, they should not come back from off stage. You just kill them on the spot, and sometimes you get a lucky dodge read and get like 70 damage. I think. I'm not a scythe player, don't quote me on that, but that's probably it. And most scythe characters are pretty good sigs, yeah. All right, so next is spear. I don't think spear is in it's probably bottom of A tier. Yeah, so spear is kind of in the same situation as cannon, but a little bit better situation because it has pretty long range. Its neutral is pretty good. You could play around its nair and recovery and down air, which is the reason why it's not B tier or C tier. And down air is good, and on top of everything else, you can get a lucky dodge read off of side late, and you could literally win the whole game off of that. One bad dodge from your opponent, and the game is over. So yeah. Greatsword. Everyone knows about Greatsword. They don't know where it is, but after fighting Sandstorm and Parsec, I think Greatsword is somewhere around here. I'm really not sure where Greatsword stands, but I do know that it's really good because it gives you constant pressure off of a side light or any move on Greatsword that you do. You get constant pressure and it kills super early. Sometimes without a dodge, you might even die on orange. Not even exaggeration, you might die on orange. Like dark orange, you will die. Like all its finishers on Greatsword are all heavy attacks, basically. So that's why it is up there for sure. Yeah. So let me move these up because they're definitely not a whole tier down. So that's basically it. I don't need to delete these, so I'm just keep it like this. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Tell me what you guys think about this tier list. If you guys tell me sword does not deserve to be the best weapon in the game, you're lying to me. You're instantly blocked. I will block you. You're gone forever. Thank you for watching the video. Peace out, guys.